Jesse King, the one true Jesse from Tennessee. Oneida? It's in our state. We got to be able to pronounce it right. Anyway, True Jesse asked, what is a moment in college football that you think people don't talk about enough? Well, I got to be honest with you, Jesse. When I read this earlier today, I read it as era, and then I didn't look at the graphic again. So I just put down the eras that I think people don't talk about enough. I don't think people talk about the mid-'90s through the mid-2000s enough in college football. You could make an argument that this was peak college football. Now, I would say about a decade later, but that has a lot to do with when I was born. But if you looked at the mid-'90s, let's go 1995 to 2005. In those 11 years, we had 11 different national champs. There were a couple of years where there were split national champs. But in those 11 years, Nebraska, Florida, Michigan, Tennessee, FSU, Oklahoma, Miami, Ohio State, LSU, USC, Texas. There's no repeat champs. I think Nebraska split with Michigan in 97. And what was the other year? LSU, USC in 2003. Yes, but the point still remains. We had unique champions every year. And you'll notice it wasn't all from one conference. See, kids, this was back at a time where college football, they were split into these things called conferences, which at the time were decided by something called regionality. And that meant that if you were USC playing in Los Angeles, you probably weren't playing conference games against someone in the state of Maryland, per se, or the state of New Jersey. Not that there's anything wrong with that, although there is. Then the other thing I would say is we've still got all the best announcers. I mean, if you do your power rankings or maybe even your Mount Rushmore, Brent Musburger is going to be up there. Musburger is throwing heat in this period. Keith Jackson is in his prime in this era. Uncle Vern is still with us in his prime in this era. All the big boys are calling the games. We've got competitive balance. I mean, we got a world where Nebraska can win a national championship. Not that they, quote unquote, can't now, but they were. It was a great time. So I would say that, and also the fact that the regular season was everything. Hey, do me one favor right here. Look down. Are you subscribed to the channel? If you are, thank you. If you're not, please click subscribe. It helps us keep the show free and free of corporate interference. All right, that's it for me. Back to the clip. If you're 18 years old, you've never lived in that world, coherently at least, you've never really lived in that world. But back then, we had a national championship game. But it was at the end of the season. Bowl season was still great, but the regular season was what everything revolved around. And that is me, that's my personal preference. It's like when I was growing up, they had installed lights at Wrigley Field by the time I was growing up, because they did that in 1988. But even when I was growing up, they still played a vast majority of Cubs games during the day at Wrigley Field. But they had started playing night games. And you would hear all the old-timers say, boy, this isn't the way it's meant to be. This is not the best version of Cubs baseball. Now, I despise the Cubs organization as an Atlanta Braves fan. However, I respected that when I got off the bus at Meemaw's house at 2:20 p.m., I could turn to WGN and I could watch Ryan Sandberg losing 98 games a year, but I could watch him. And I would hear the old-timers say, boy, it used to be every day was a day game there. That was when Cubs baseball was at its best. Well, I talk about college football like that. Back when the regular season was what everything revolved around solely, that was college football at its best. And then we put lights in college football, Jesse, or as some people call it, the college football playoff. The other thing you could touch on is the Saban era at Alabama. Not that it was overlooked. Everyone was paying full attention to what he was doing at Alabama. I think it's overlooked in that people don't really fully appreciate the impact it had on the sport. And it's for a lot of negative reasons for people who weren't Alabama fans. Like what it did to expectations for other programs. How many people lost their job during that era that in another era, not only would have kept their jobs, they may have won a title themselves. I think as we get like another 10 years removed, I think we'll appreciate that more. So, yeah, mid-'90s through mid-2000s, the Saban era. Yeah, I would say both of those. I would circle both of those.